Hi, I'm Judith Monroe, and this is my studio. And in this video, I'm going to be taking little pieces of art paper like this and turning them into little pieces of mail art like this. I'm gonna start doing the transfers onto these cards. I started out with just plain miscellaneous heavy papers. I think this is a watercolor paper. And then on top of those papers, I just glued a piece of another piece of paper. So that's the back side, see, kind of like that. And these are just from the Bible pages, because that's a thing I do a lot. And I just glued them together, and then I did a little bit of light gesso to kind of help push the text back a little. And now I'm going to start doing photo transfers. So these are all different images that I've taken. I've printed out on an inkjet printer. I've coated with matte gel medium. And now I'm gonna let this one sit and soak for just a moment. And now that it's soaked a bit, I'm gonna start just tearing the paper off of the back of it. This particular one was not printed on anything special, just regular bond paper, printer paper. So the image quality isn't super high. That's all right. The paper does want to fall apart a bit. And just getting all of that paper off. I just kind of rub it off with my fingertips. And then I want to get the excess water off of it. And then while I get ready to put this one onto this, I'm gonna put these in here to soak, so that kind of saves me a little bit of time. My matte gel medium. So this is the back side of my transfer. And I'm just gonna use some more matte gel medium to coat the back of this. And decide where I want it. It can I can keep it straight and smooth, or I can warp and twist it. Sometimes I do that. So I just want to get all of the air bubbles out. Some of these images are going to be a little too big for these postcards, which is okay. I'll just crop it, trim it later when they're dry. And then when this dries, we'll be able to see that little guy a lot better. So, 1 down, 11 to go. Getting all the bubbles out. Again, that one's got a little bit of excess, but clean that off later. You can see some of these that have dried. Like I think that's, I mean, they haven't completely dried. But as they dry, we get to see the image. So I'll walk away from these. Probably at least overnight. Here they all are. This is the next day. Literally left them alone overnight. They've been pretty curly, so I've been kind of trying to straighten them out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some colored pencils to some of them, not all of them. Like this one has a definite lack of color. I'm going to add some color. I got my colored pencils out, a couple of pieces I want to add a little color to. And I'm just gonna come in here. I generally start with purples and blues in the shadows. That's kind of the color shadows are. The light and shadows is bluer. Oh, and then in highlights, I tend to put warmer colors. Oh, I kind of forgot that. And I'll use different shades of purples and things as the tonal values, to kind of match the tonal values in the image. Do kind of a similar thing with warm tones, kind of coming back and forth in different places. So one of the cool things about colored pencils is that they can be blended. This is a very cool pencil called a colorless blender. And I'm just going to use that. You can see how it then just takes all of those pencils and it kind of blends them together and smooths it out. It's a pretty nifty little thing. I think this is a Prismacolor. I think that's what this one is. Probably others have got it too. I use all different kinds of colored pencils. I have a lot of Prismacolors, but I've got, well, that's a Prisma. Lyra, what other brands? I don't know. There's lots of different colored pencils. And I'm not super picky. They generally are all gonna work together. You can see how it kind of just activates and blends all of these colors, smooths them out. The matte gel medium I use, I'm very particular about that too, because I need the surface to be able to use colored pencils on it. So I use Liquitex matte gel medium. It's the only one that's really matte, that really provides a tooth so that I could actually do this pencil work on top of it. It's one of those little things. I also have this pencil is getting a little bit short and a little bit difficult to handle. And I have these little cool, it's like a little extension for the pencil, so now I can use it a little bit more comfortably. I have no idea where I got that. It's Co-in-Nor, Germany, I don't know. Some art supply place at some point in time. Really just trying to smooth all of those strokes out. It's going one direction and then the other. Smooths it all out. Not everything here will I go to this much color. A lot of these pieces got a lot of color on their own. I might do a little bit of pencil work on them. This will get more, probably kind of like I'm doing with the fish. We'll see. I'm pretty happy with that. We'll get, I'll probably do watercolors, I think, on these too. So, ready to move on to the next step. All right, I want to start painting, and I want to just kind of do it without thinking too hard. I'm using watercolors. I've got my kind of favorite some of my favorites on hand. Still in the book. I think that's enough of the watercolor. I'm gonna have to let these dry a bit again. Another day, more drying, more painting. I've getting out my acrylic paints. This is my own color and glazing blend. Though honestly, I don't know what it's gonna look like, so we'll just play. When it comes to painting, my methods are unconventional because I'm never taken formal training in I just started playing and experimenting and a little bit of, reading and some videos, but it's been a long time. I just basically started doing and played to see what worked. I knew how to, I was taught how to mix colors, and actually colored pencil work is something that I was formally trained in illustration techniques back in the day in college. And in colored pencils, you mix color by layering. And I think I've just taken a lot of that into other media. And yes, I use my fingers to paint a lot. Smudge, clean. I will oftentimes go places, like go out to the grocery store or wherever and go, oh, check it out. Paint all over my fingers because I just kind of, because I've been painting and then hadn't completely gotten my hands clean. Of course, I'm sure I'm not alone in that. That's how you know you're an artist, when you find yourself in public with paint in strange places. Well, not so strange, but just, you know. I have to decide, what else do I want to do to these? I was using that purple to kind of just snap up the shadows a little bit. Increase the contrast just a bit. It's another thing. My brain kind of works in terms of darkroom photography, contrast, and so this is thinned gesso. Just kind of like white paint, but I like to work with, I guess I'm used to working with transparency. So nothing is completely black or white. Truly shades of gray and color and value. See, already that's pulling that, separating that out a bit. Kind of creating a little bit more. Creating that. A little more separation there. That's good. I like that better. We're getting pretty close here to being done with this side. I do want to give them all like a coat of a light acrylic glaze. Kind of help, it'll help kind of hold, like right now they've got watercolor on the surface, and if they got wet that could cause issues. So the acrylic will kind of help it seal itself up a little bit. This kind of gives me an idea. Oh, I kind of like that. Alright, see, I can change my mind at a moment's notice. How exactly? I can just put like a varnish on these. I dig that. I like that a lot, actually. Let's find another color. Work in some things. A little more than I meant for it to happen. That's what fingers are for. I want some splatters, you know? I mean, you don't know. I know. I want some splatters. All right. Splatter experiment. Got the protective clothing on. Now I need the right liquidity. This is some brown. I don't need that yet. See, that's for sure way too thick. Gunky. That does not seem like that's gonna do the thing I want, though I might. Do other things with it. I just can't help but, you know, mess around. It's almost as good as a splatter. Alright, let's see. Splattering is always one of those things I've not quite gotten down. Oh. Nope, that's not working. Though I did do some interesting funky stuff right there. Trying to do this where oh, there we go. That's a little better. I always have to play with it first before I if I have any friends, and I know I do, that have got splattering down better than that, I'm just gonna have to go find them. It's also so splattery. It sort of scares me. that's too much. I'm gonna have to take that off. I need to kind of balance that out. This is what happens. But no big deal. Finger to the rescue. Kind of like that one. So these are going to dry, and I'm going to give them one clear coat of varnish. And then we'll deal with the back side. All right, so I've coated these with varnish. Actually 2 coats, a coat of matte varnish, and then that wasn't shiny enough, and so I did a coat of gloss varnish, and that should give these a pretty good protective seal. So I'm pretty happy about that. That's all dried, and now I'm ready to work on the back side. So the U.S. Post Office actually has some rules about postcards and what has to be, parts of it have to be left blank, and the address has to be in a very specific spot. So I did a little bit of research, and then I measured. So I made this kind of template. So these are 4x6 cards, and these are all the areas that have to be left blank. I did all of these little measurements, like that's a 1 1/8 inch square here, and this is 2 1/4 inches. Anyway, you can look it up. It's easy to look up. And then I cut this out so that when I work on the back side of one of these guys, all I have to do now is kind of lay this here, and I know that I need to keep this clear. This is going to be where the address is going to go. This is where the stamp is going to go. And so I've just gotten myself a few little pens. And if I make myself like kind of just a mark here, and I don't know what I want to do up there. If I want to make a mark or just make sure that I don't, right there. It's a snail. And it's gonna go by snail mail, so that's pretty exciting. All right. So what I'm gonna have to do is kind of spend some time thinking about titles and the things that I want to write on these, and that might take some time. Maybe we'll just go ahead with this one. Just kind of make a decision. So I'm not doing anything particularly tricky. do have this little leaf. I am trying to use inks on this side that are not water soluble, so permanent dyes and inks that if it goes through wetness, it won't bleed. I may have to hunt down some of my other stamps. This is a stamp I cut, oh gosh, a long time ago with an X-Acto knife and little white eraser. Or maybe I'll do a video on that too. So I'll probably just spend some time doing some kind of fun little things on the back sides of these. And then post them on my social media accounts like Instagram and Facebook, and go from there. Just kind of fun stuff. All right, so that's going to take a little bit of time. I already did another one here. This one I put a stamp on. It's ready for an address. So I did decide to order fancy stamps from the post office. A couple of pretty ones that go with the theme of my work. Succulent and little flowers. So this is going to be fun. And then hopefully they will be fun to receive as well. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made the mail art that I'm going to be sending out. I would love it if you would subscribe, like, and comment.